Hey, Don.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, Jacob.
Hey, Kelly. Where are we?
This seems different.
Where are we?
You tell us.
Welcome to Moss Estates,
Yay!
Which is a...
wedding and special event venue that Matt and I just moved into at the end of March.
Yeah.
So, some of you may have heard us talk about Moss Estates before because it was the site of my infamous passing out while on the job.
We'll show you exactly where it was.
There's
There's a memorial there.
And we talked about it in our venue, our favorite venues video, I believe.
We've also talked about
Yes.
it when I shot here before, the barn had
Oh,
conditioner.
yes. Oh, yeah, we did.
And that was a nightmare.
We did.
Oh, you shot
should
here
tell them
before
about
there was
it.
air conditioning?
Mhm.
Wow.
And I spent about 30 minutes in the bathroom because the bathroom is the only place that had AC. And I would just go in there every 20 minutes and sit in the stall and just stand in front of that one air conditioning unit in the bathroom because it was July. It's so hot.
Yeah, because the barn didn't have AC
Wow.
once upon
Yeah.
a time.
Well, you don't have to worry about that now. They have a
Three-phase AC.
three-phase
system.
AC that they flew in by helicopter.
Oh my gosh.
They being the previous owners. So we were very fortunate to walk into something that they have completely remodeled, did a beautiful job, and we can just come in and kind of put our little touches on it and not have to make a whole lot of changes. So
We're
Yeah.
currently in the bridal suite.
Yes.
This is where the bride and her people would get ready.
In the deepest couch.
I am very comfortable.
None of us know how to
Yeah.
sit.
Jacob has 14 pillows behind him.
I came in today thinking we would not see my feet because I have a shoot later today, so I'm business
Same.
up top.
same.
I'm wearing office socks. Like, it's very millennial. I love it. Yeah. So if
As you can see, we're very formal on this podcast.
it's just gonna be a lot of
I feel
cuts
like
to me.
I feel like Ariel from The Little Mermaid.
this. Save us for the money. Like,
We're gonna have to blur them out. Okay, so this is also Jacob who says he wants us in like swivelly armchairs or something.
it
Meanwhile,
wouldn't be this deep. We wouldn't be like Jabba the Hutt over here. Like, I have some arch support, some back support. It's fine.
It is on my list this summer to get a new couch.
oh, okay.
At least you have a licensed physical therapist. That
I can help you get up. Nose over toes when you go to stand up.
Oh,
And I'll help.
We're gonna need to know that soon.
that's like when I tell people to nuts to butts.
Yeah.
That's the only way to get them to line up half the time.
Well, and then when I try to say that, it just like erupts into too much laughter,
Yeah.
so I can't really say it.
Right?
I get away with
But
it.
that's really what we need them to do.
Uh-huh.
I've never heard that. That's fantastic.
When you want them to like stand, you
It
know.
totally makes sense.
And they're always offset, like they're just
Yeah,
nuts to butts boys.
All over the place.
And they get there.
Now, do you say that for the bridesmaids too?
Boobs to back.
We don't need to
Boobs to
tell.
back?
I tried to say rack to back so it rhymes. But I don't know, it doesn't have the
I
same.
mean, these days it could be nuts to butts.
Exactly.
Don't put that on.
So I try to keep it rhyming, but boobs to back usually is the job.
Okay,
These are photography secrets.
so
Yeah.
we should have used that last
I
episode.
know.
I like rack to back.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
let's
checks out.
let's introduce our guests at least
Pivot, yes.
before we
Pivot.
get too far out of the way. So today we're doing something a little different. We are on site, but we have our first guests who are not in the photography or videography field.
This is true.
So, Matt, you and I have met. We probably met 10 years ago.
Easy. Yeah.
So Matt is a DJ, and then Kelly, I met you.
Well,
Honestly.
Matt and I have been together for 7 years.
So
Yeah.
about that long.
Wait, you guys are married? I just like the same
and
last
we are
names.
not.
Yeah.
Some days we're married.
Okay.
Some days not.
Wow. Whole time. Not a clue.
So I guess let's start with you, Matt.
Yeah.
Tell us how you got to where you are today with, well, now you're being a DJ. How you came up in that world.
Well, started back when I was 13-ish years old. I was actually at a bar mitzvah as a guest myself. And I was just out there dancing, having fun, enjoying myself, both of them. And the DJ just kind of came over to some of the parents and just like, hey, whose kid is that? And immediately my mother's response was, who's asking? What did I do to get myself in trouble? And they're like, no, he's a great dancer, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. And I guess they exchanged phone numbers, and I started dancing for this company down the road.
Wow.
So I just kind of jumped into that world and loved doing it. It was just fun for me. I was 13 years old. And then going from there, I kind of hung with the same group with that company. We just kind of did events. And then I kind of shadowed a DJ, always on all these events. As I was a dancer, my parents would drop me off early. I'd help them set up all the gear, the lighting, all that stuff, and really attracted to that end of it. And over the next couple of years doing that, I told my parents, I said, hey, I'd really like to save some money and get some DJ gear to kind of do that and what this guy was doing. And they said, okay, well, let's see, blah, 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 blah. And then a couple of weeks later, my dad had given me some money. And I said, no, I don't want you to give me the money. Help me save it. And the long haul of it was I had been making money and they had saved it from doing these events.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, this is all the money that you had made. So now you can turn it and invest that into your first set of equipment. And bought my first set of gear and kind of moved up that company's ladder a little bit and made my way through that and worked with that company for quite some time. Learned a lot of ins and outs, do's and don'ts. Mm-hmm. And from there, I was 17 and broke off from that company and just started to do my own thing and started adding friends in to, hey, do you want to come dance? And we did Best Buddies events at our school in the cafeteria. I had small speaker setup, one little mixer, a Radio Shack microphone, just the basics, and we were having fun with it. Got a couple buddies in there. We would do like the YMCA for the kids and just fun, entertaining. I just loved doing it. And then, from there, they're like, oh, do you want to do our homecoming? Okay. And then one thing led to another. And we started booking bar and bat mitzvahs on our own. And friends were joining in as dancers. And, oh, I want to do this. This is fun. And here came Zoller Sounds Entertainment was the name of the company. And then went through college at UCF. And we're doing a lot of the bars and the clubs and the night scenes, kind of fell into that role. Just during the week, just to kind of keep me busy. And I found another great DJ named Kerry Sobel in UCF as well. And he loved the DJing end. I more attracted to the emceeing end. And we said, hey, why don't we combine forces here and make an elite dual team and conquer UCF here and make this great entertainment thing? And so we did that. So Kerry joined into Zoller Sounds Entertainment. We kept it ZSE, and we called it Zoller Sobel Entertainment. Mm-hmm. So we kind of grew that together. He added his perfections in, and I added mine, and we just kind of grew this thing together. We're in business for 9 years together, through college and later. And then family came along for him. He had some other businesses and ventures and stuff, and I still had a passion for doing this. And we just kind of kept adding services. I didn't want to be a jack of all trades, master of none, but something just kind of made sense. Like, oh, a photo booth. Well, we can do that. Like, why don't we add that in? Oh, lighting. Okay, just little different things. And it just kind of organically grew. And then Kelly and I met, and I had another coordinator starting to help me out with that was another service that I tried to, let's try and add this in, see if it works. And she kind of helped me out with coordinating my entertainment end. As you guys know, we need coordinators to kind of run the shows that we do. Otherwise, you're on the microphone and you're like, hey, we're going to go cut the cake. Mm-hmm. And we talked about it earlier. And I walk over there and there's no utensils to cut the cake. And everybody looks at you like you're not very smart here. So,
exactly.
So the coordinator kind of goes ahead and makes sure that we're set up for success when we're doing what we're doing. Same thing with you guys with shooting and stuff like that. So I had another coordinator, and she kind of helped me out growing that end. And then Kelly actually came along and kind of was her assistant. And then her name is Haley, and she had ended up moving to North Carolina and started her family up there. And Kelly kind of rolled into that point organically. And we've now created an entire she's got a staff of 8 or 9 girls that run their coordinating end and decor. And Kelly just came from the physical therapy world and organically worked. She'd done a few events in the past. I'll let her tell about that, just for friends and family and stuff. And it just kind of worked and came to that point. And she's growing her end of it now with decor everywhere. Now, so we have almost a full service studio of everything to offer. And coming to this point, are we that far yet? Or?
We'll hold that.
Okay, perfect.
Let's get
That's it.
We'll get to where.
Don't say the word organically anymore.
I already have a counter on it. Don't worry.
You said it 3 times.
So we're, because I was at UCF. What years were you there?
03, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I was there in 2006.
Okay.
This is all making a lot more sense though, because I've heard you say how many years you've been in the industry, and I've been trying to do the math. But seeing as how you started at 13, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Because I was like, he doesn't look like he's 10 years older than me. Like,
Yeah, no, I started.
Yeah, we'll say like
Yeah.
25 years, which would be 15, but
Yeah.
and he's 40.
yeah.
But we have to be careful because then our clients think, they're getting a 60-year-old
DJ Dad.
Yeah.
Same thing when we say how long our dancers have been with us. Matt's like, don't tell them that.
I know. Well, I mean, that to me is something that's amazing because you have had some of the same dancers since I met you.
Yep. And it's
Luckily, they all have baby faces. They don't.
and they've been
Yeah.
great, and
They don't
love
slow
it.
down.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they're not
Rocky
even 40.
Walkers.
They're not even 40 yet, though.
No.
Yeah.
So, and I think too, we're getting to that point where a lot of our clients are around our age.
Mhm.
You know, so we can still relate to the parents.
Mhm.
You know what I mean, and kind of reel them in.
Mhm.
But then we can still obviously relate to the kids just from all the events that we do. And same thing with our dancers. They can go either way.
Yep.
You know, they can do the 80s jams or they can do the top 40,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
So
I
I
can
think,
dance with grandma, and they can dance.
Right.
yeah. So I think that kind of helps
Can I
too.
do that organically?
Organically sometimes.
So I had an engagement shoot last night, and it turns out we like have friends in common. And I was saying like, oh yeah, I met so and so when I worked for Outdoor Adventure at UCF, and they were like, oh my gosh, we met each other working at Outdoor Adventure at UCF. I'm like, no way, that's so cool. And then I was like, so when were you there? And they're like, oh, 2018. And I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, I started in 2004, and the bride, she was like, oh, that's when I was in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to get out of the bar scene around, I think I stopped in like 2009. And that's when I started looking at some of the bar stuff that I was doing. And I was like, that could be my daughter. Yeah, it's time to hang this up and go on to the next thing.
Well, as far as the UCF bars.
Yeah.
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 So then what's your history?
Oh boy. Well, I went to school for a really long time because I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to do. And being that I'm a very organized type A person, I liked the schedule of school and the organization of school and all of that. So went away to college at Elon in North Carolina, played soccer up there, came back for a year, then went to grad school at UCF. So we've all been to
Sorry,
UCF.
Jacob.
Don't say oh.
Go Knights, go Knights. And
OSU. You don't even know how to spell it. You couldn't even figure it out. It's been 25 years.
no, you're fine.
I love it.
So got a master's degree in sport business management and business administration there, which the business administration side is obviously serving me well these days. So worked for a few years, wasn't totally happy with the 9 to 5 desk job kind of thing, and my mom convinced me to go back to school for an AA degree to be a physical therapy assistant, and part of that came too with being really involved in taking care of my grandmother when I moved back home.
And Jacob.
And Jacob. Yes, I also took care of Jacob in my other life.
Appreciate it.
Especially when he can't get up from the sofa.
Uh-huh.
So,
This is my home.
yeah. Because coming out of college, being a college athlete, I wanted to work with athletes. But I also knew that everybody wants to work with athletes. And also that type of job can quickly consume your life. So that's why I kind of went the business side of athletics, if you will. Working for the Orlando Magic. I did high school athletics, a couple things like that, coaching. And then I had this weird thing that I actually did not want to work with older people. I wanted to work with athletes because they're motivated and they can do all these things and yada, yada, yada. Well, I learned that older people are just as motivated, but their motivation is something different. It's motivation to keep driving, walk independently, live independently, things like that. So, and I think some of that comes with age and maturity. And again, being involved in taking care of my grandmother. So went back for my AA degree, given that I already had schooling. It was a 13-month accelerated program at Herzing, and was fortunate enough to work at one of the places I interned for like 10 years.
Wow.
So in various roles, treating as a PTA, then taking over again more of the business side of it for my boss. And then in the interim, I had a few friends who were getting married and they needed somebody to help organize their wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew the type of person that I was and my personality, again, that type A.
Type A.
Organized. Yeah. And
That's why you're not sitting on that.
yeah, exactly. And a couple of them, like I maybe wasn't close enough to be invited to the wedding, but again, they needed that outside person. And so I just kind of fell into it. And then we always did a charity golf tournament for Shams at Lonewood Rehab where I worked. So I quickly got volunteered to be in charge of that.
Voluntold.
Yep, exactly. Voluntold. And then when Matt and I met, I kind of told him all these things, but obviously when you're first getting to know somebody, he doesn't know that I can coordinate an event just because I tell him that I can. But obviously getting to know each other through the dating process and all of that, and then also watching me, as Haley's assistant, I think he quickly learned what I brought to the table. And then, when her life changed and she moved, it just made sense for us to keep it all under the same roof and under the same umbrella. And eventually, I personally got requested enough as a coordinator that I had to leave my physical therapy job, that I couldn't balance both anymore. And so we
Decided to go full throttle. Let's do it.
Yep. And then we inherited a balloon business from Patty when she retired. Again, that just made sense, something to offer our coordinators, our clients, and started to inherit decor from clients because they didn't know what to do with it. So
someone just asked me about the old, not old balloon lady, like the old as an age, but
yes,
who used to do balloons named Patty, and I was like, I don't know who you're talking about. I was like, Patty Gutter, because my friend Patty owns American Balloon Decor, and they do all of the balloons, like for the Magic games and stuff. So I was like, do you mean Patty Gutter? And she's like, no, it was this other person named Patty. And I was like, oh, what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Patty, there are 5 balloon companies owned by Patty.
Yeah.
So you have to be very specific.
So, funny story with Patty in that balloon business, we'd done so many mitzvahs together. Like, you show up, we're the first people there, right? The DJs are always there first. Well, Patty did all the balloon decor. So we had so many conversations pre-shows. And she kept telling me she's blowing her balloons up with this machine and all this noise. And I'm banging equipment to set everything up. And we just had a very good relationship. And she kept telling me, she's like, Matt, one day I'm going to retire. You got to buy this business from me. You got to take this business over. I'm like, Patty, I don't know anything about balloons. Mm-hmm. I don't like the balloons. The sound of them gives me chills down my arms. And it's, I won't even tell you what else it makes my nipples hard.
Can we say that on camera?
Yes, we can.
Jacob's mom watches it.
But it's like nails on a chalkboard to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I do not love this thing. And she kept saying, you got to take this. You got to take it. Blah, blah, blah. So about 5 years of events, she's like, finally kept pushing it. And I was like, fine, we'll sit down with you and talk about these balloons. And she kind of told me what she does and how it worked out and the business end of it. And I said, all right, Kelly,
You're
you're going to learn how to do balloons.
Balloon time.
Voluntold. Yep. So she jumped right into it, and Patty was awesome with the transition and all that
So
stuff.
yeah, it took a full year.
Yeah, just
or
understand it and learn it. And
With her helping me, teaching me,
Yep.
me calling her crying.
No.
Because some things had gone wrong and her saving me a couple times. And
And it's become a
Wow.
neat thing for us not to be doing the full entertainment end, but it's like we do it at home. So it's something that we can do while watching TV or hanging out with our dogs and, just doing something fun at home, creative together. And it kind of challenges us both because it's some balloon designs you don't know what you're really going to get into. So I'm creating the
Like
mold and the form of everything.
Like
and
that
she's-
8-foot pumpkin that we made.
Yeah, so we're like, how do we make an 8-foot pumpkin and fill it in with balloons? Like, okay, well, let's get creative. And we made it. And so that's a little sense of accomplishment of fun for us as a couple to be able to work together like that and just do it. I think it's fun.
Well, and I think just to show that, everything is not always perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, we did go through a little growth thing there where I was like, hey, this is our balloon business. I need you to step in and help with a few things here. And so he has learned like how to, do an arch and make the pattern for the arch. And then sometimes now I joke he's better at certain things than I am just because he tends to be a little more patient. And then like when you're doing organic balloons, meaning that they're word of the day, that they're not all the same size for people that don't know what that means. That's where sometimes me being type A is not helpful. So I can let him step in and let him do it. And then that way I'm not fixing it for 2 hours, here and there because again, just because of how I am. So I think for us too, it's all about balance, I think. And we tend to balance each other out very well. So it works out well.
I think this shows too that like we have a lot of people that do watch are kind of newer into photography or kind of wondering what you do. And it's not just photography, it's our whole business. It's relationships, the event business. So see how all these, that's why we keep showing all these different, not just videographers, DJs, coordinators,
Right.
because we're all entwined. And now you know, and I didn't know this until 30 seconds ago, if I need a balloon guy, I always knew, but like I didn't know, right?
Right.
Right. We knew that we showed up and sometimes
Yeah.
there were
There were
balloons
balloons
for
that you didn't
day
know how
4,
they
but
got
we
there.
didn't really
Yeah,
think
I
about
knew
it.
that was part of your guys, but I didn't really think of
How it goes into it, how they got there, So, Yeah.
So our friend Courtney, that
Yep.
you guys
Shout
know
out
too,
Courtney.
oh yeah.
her daughter's first birthday was last month. And so I was there early as like an honorary auntie. Part of my job was to go and help set up for the birthday party. And I ended up being assigned the balloon arch.
Yeah.
And I like immediately called my sister and I was like, Jill, I love you. I love my nephew. If you ever ask me to do that for you, I refuse. Because it is the freaking hardest
No,
I'll
thing.
tell you what, it's
ever.
so
There's
fun.
certain things that are worth paying for, and you don't have the equipment that you need.
It's so
No,
fun.
you have a
People-
little plastic balloon blow up
Yeah.
thing, and then you're like breaking your fingers trying to tie the knots, and then to like feed them through the stupid little plastic
Yeah, we don't
strip
use
they
any
give
of
you.
that.
It's so funny. People call us all the time and they're like, hey, and they already sound frustrated when they're calling us. They're like, hey, I need this balloon arch for tomorrow. And they're like, okay, well, here's what it costs, blah, blah, blah. They're like, and we already know where it's coming from. They're like, I bought this thing on Amazon. It was $125 and I spent 16 hours trying to do it and I just gave up. We're like,
Yes,
we got you. We know exactly what it is. So
100%.
yeah. It's not as easy as it looks to do it that way, but we've got the proper professional equipment to do it and not pay all up.
Photography,
Yep.
DJ. There's a reason why we're professionals, and there's a reason why it costs more because we have the skill and the time to do it.
Yeah.
So, what's your time worth?
That's
Right,
the
exactly.
big thing. It's you're paying for the experience that we have of
We've already messed up 100 times before you. So
equipment. Yeah,
Exactly. That's what you
On our
can see in the
dime.
background at my house when he and I are, the balloons are popping and yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I have my big blue is what Patty called it, balloon inflator. I mean, that thing is like $1,300. And so, but
just to blow up balloons.
yeah, but it's digital and it's made to blow up 2 balloons to the same size every time.
Oh.
So, which, is not as important, obviously, when you're doing organic balloon arches. But I do a lot of structured stuff, meaning they are all the same size. like for schools and graduations and things like
We're going to
that.
become the #1 balloon rated podcast in Central Florida. This is all we're doing now is balloon podcast.
You brought the machine in with us, just started
Yeah.
blowing them here.
This is our Roman Empire.
Yeah. No, I mean, balloons are a big, I mean,
Yeah.
they're a big business, and there's a lot of people, I mean, I'm in groups on Facebook and people, going through the things that I went through trying to learn it and this and that and figure it out.
And we teach them, and there's plenty to go around. It's like, hey, I don't want to do everybody's balloons. It's a lot. You know what I mean? So here, Kelly will chime in there and be like, hey, this is what you should try and do. Try this, and they kind of share each other's knowledge, and it makes a sense of community and help everybody out. And then obviously the coordinating takes more precedent than the balloons. But kind of all fell into the same.
Yeah, but again, I usually can say, oh, you're doing my coordination services. I also do balloons, and I typically will discount it for them. So that's where, I don't love the term one-stop shop, but we're able to
Full service.
Yes,
Full
there we go,
service studio. Yeah.
We are able to offer them, a little bit more for less money. And again, that helps everybody out.
Yeah.
So it puts money in our pocket. It allows them to get what they truly want for, their event, that they being our client, and everybody's happy, hopefully.
And a lot of times when you have multiple third parties, even when you're the coordinator, trying to wrangle them all in and come together at one point, it's kind of not necessarily impossible, but it's really rough when it's everyone is already in house and you're just like, it's
Correct.
done.
Exactly. We did a mitzvah recently that was huge, and I called in one of my colleagues in the industry to help me with the balloons because I was already doing, X, Y, and Z for all the decor and stuff. And it was great. She came in, worked under the ZSE umbrella for the day, and everybody was happy. And
And I was making friendship bracelets.
Yes. I got a picture of that.
I had to do it. They were getting swamped. They said, okay, show me one.
we wear mini
I
hats.
went in there and did it, and I was like, okay, here.
So she's like on the floor with some of your dancers.
Yeah.
And they're all like putting together.
But that's the
You weren't
biggest
at that
thing.
one,
It doesn't. To me, it's. There's not a job within the business that I don't want to not know how to do. And I'm not higher than anybody within the company. It's, hey, I just started it. We all do it together. You know what I mean? And that's our main goal and focus of the brand is anybody jump in and help where is needed. And, that's why friendship, right? Okay, here we go. Balloons. Okay, here. I'll figure it out. We'll get it going. So
We talk about that a lot within photography, like specifically when we're talking about having a lead photographer and a second photographer, like there's no ego.
Yeah.
Like there's no room for
Shouldn't be.
ego in any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it should be that we are all there, and all meaning like all of the vendors, we're all there for the client to have the best day.
Right.
And
That's
so it's not, there's no point in like making another vendor look bad to make you look better. Like, no, now you're making everything worse for the client.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
make it happen.
And we've ran into that many times where Kelly may be the coordinator and I'm necessarily not the DJ,
Mm-hmm.
but I go to give her a hand on what she's doing.
Right.
I could very easily walk in there and be like, oh, look at this DJ, what's it, and judge. But I'm like, hey man, if you need anything, I'm here,
Mm-hmm.
and we just kind of help each other out. A lot of, like you guys said, I mean, we all know a lot of the same people within the industry,
Mm-hmm.
and there's plenty to go around for everybody. So, and
Well, that's like in the physical therapy world, when you walk into a clinic, you shouldn't really know who the PT is and the PTA is. The physical therapy assistant, just like a lead shooter and an assistant shooter, because on that day, everybody is there for the same purpose.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with coordinating, same thing too. I mean, they should technically be able to go to my assistant just as well as they can go to me and ask whatever the question is, and she knows the answer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think part of that too is Matt and I giving them that autonomy as well, because that's why they're there, is to help us so that we're not, having 30 people come ask solely us those questions, or even with setup, I'll tell my assistant Sarah, I'm like, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this, and then come back to me when you're done. And I'm not going to go micromanage or babysit her while she does it. Now I'll go review it at some point, you know, but yeah, again, and hiring people that we know and trust. And, some people don't want to work with friends. We want to hire friends, because those are the people that are going to care as much about your business as we do. And
Right, because they don't want to let you down professionally or personally.
Correct.
That's why
Yeah.
John and I are not friends.
Yeah. That's why we voluntarily spend all of this extra time
Yeah.
together.
Exactly.
For zero money
Exactly.
and benefits.
Yeah. But we, if you're honest with your friends, even just in friendship stuff, then you can be honest in work stuff and be like, hey, next time I really need you to do it this way. But very rarely do we really have to correct somebody,
What?
From being a boss standpoint.
Yeah.
Before we get into like the big thing,
Yes.
I have a couple more questions though, especially about the DJ coordination. When it comes to photography, because at the end of the day, this is a photography podcast. Because on our end, I always feel coordinators and DJs, when they're really good, I know it sounds weird, you almost don't even realize that they're there. You know what I mean? Yeah, obviously you know the DJ's there, but everything is so smooth. But from our end, when they're not there, boy, do you notice it. So that's why I think people sometimes get confused. They're like, well, I didn't think we need one. Because, sometimes they go to other events. It was so smooth because you had a really good DJ and you had a really good coordinator. So from our end, though, what do you think is like a photographer could do to make your jobs easier?
Ooh, that's a good question.
We kind of are proactive to that on our ends, because you guys obviously know it. When I'm about to do a candle lighting, we'll talk mitzvahs or do this, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, Don, hey, Jacob, you guys ready in about 5 minutes? We're going to do this. I won't announce that,
Which we appreciate.
until you guys have your lights ready and all your stuff. So it's just more of that organization and making sure, you guys are there to do the same job we are. My goal is not to sound like a dum-dum out on the microphone and say something until everybody's ready. Whether we have videographers there, photographers, whoever else it is, Kelly's on it, or her team is on it, making sure we're doing a toast. I make sure you guys are ready. Kelly makes sure that they have glasses in their hands or off to the side. So you don't have those awkward moments at events. And that goes unseen by any of the other guests. Nobody knows that.
Exactly.
We just try to make it. And again, I think that goes back to what we were saying earlier. The experience, that's what you're paying for, is we know what to anticipate, and before anything bad happens, or you get a bad photo shot, or you get a bad video point in there or anything. So, just building that bond within the event with all of the vendors is essential. And you guys,
We've worked long enough too, like we almost know we can almost read your mind as you can read ours. We're like, we know
it's a chemistry
what he's
that
doing
you're already
next.
built
Like,
in.
it's like when Don and I shoot. Like I know what she's about to do. I can be like, oh, I know what he's about to do.
And that's also from a DJ MC perspective too. Like when I'm out on the microphone, all I have to kind of do is look back to my guy back there, and he's like, got it, know exactly what he wants, boom, boom, boom. It's an unsaid thing. It's just that chemistry. And when we do this enough together, and it just makes a perfect even flow. And
I think we had it happen one time, very early in us doing this together, and he had
I did screw up on that.
He
Yep.
had-
Yep.
he had my timeline, and vendors have to eat, so we're eating, and photographers were in there, and he starts to do toast, and I leap out of my chair and sprint, and he's like, "But your timeline's set," and I understand what my timeline's set. However, we still have to make sure so and so's in the room, all of this stuff, and then after that, I started putting ish next to my time. Because
that was a learning curve for me too, to say, okay, make sure that the photographer's set up, make sure video guys here, doable. Okay, now I can say this. So again, it's that trial and error thing, and you learn every day. We're learning something new on every event, which also is what I love about this industry. It's not a 9 to 5 sitting here. Something is different.
Yeah.
All the time. I'm sure you guys get it too, where people are just like, aren't you tired of doing weddings? I'm like,
No.
I love it.
Yeah.
Every single one's different.
Mhm.
And it's just something new, and it's fun.
Well, here's a fun DJ story from my wedding this weekend. It was a family friend.
Always.
He did have equipment, but a small deck, one speaker, a microphone on a stand. At first I was like, okay, he'll at least get us through, right? No coordination, no nothing. A lot of dead air, a lot of dead space. Waiting for you could see him looking stuff up.
My gosh.
So they come in, they do the first dance, dinner, right? We went and talked to him. He's like, yeah, we're doing 6:45 toasts. It's 6:15. Okay. We go back to another room out there, get our food. At 6:30, we hear clapping. It's myself and 2 videographers. I'm by myself and 2 videographers. We hear clapping. The videographer starts running. And we get in there. They had already done 2 toasts. We had missed 2 toasts. Completely. Not recoverable. Nothing we can do.
Unless you get
So-
one shot.
Yeah.
That happened to me. Have you ever worked out at the Dr. Phillips house?
Mhm.
Okay, so the Dr. Phillips house is this like old historic venue, right?
Yeah.
And so they have everyone seated in the very back of the house for dinner. And then they have the vendors sit all the way at the very front of the house for dinner.
I think that's the venue that we had the issue too, actually. Yeah.
I was all the way at the front eating my dinner when everyone else was eating dinner. Checked in with the DJ before I left, even was like, hey, I'm gonna go eat dinner. And he's like, okay, cool. And same thing, we started to hear clapping and I took off. And that is not a house that you can run through because everything is these tiny little narrow hallways.
Wooden
And
floors.
as I was running to get back there, one of the servers was coming out with a tray of food and we like so narrowly missed crashing into each other. It was so bad. And I was like, dude, we're here. He's like, oh, the best man just asked if you could say something. You're in charge of the microphone. That is your job. You control all of this. You could have said, yeah, let me go get the photographer. Like, oh.
And I tell that's a funny thing that you brought up because I say that to Kelly all the time. I say, okay, well, so-and-so can say that they want this. But selfishly, I'm like, well, I have the microphone. So this is how it's going to go.
Yes.
I just know the smooth process. So, okay, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Well, I will promise you we will get to that. But it's not going to be right this second because that's just going to mess up our flow. It just doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So there's again, to the experience thing, there's timing. Where can that fit? Oh, I want to do this dance. Okay, well, that'll fit. This will fit in here. Boom, boom, boom. So, yeah.
Well, a lot of venues are now requiring an insured day of coordinator. And a lot of venues are. And I'm getting to the point where I want Matt to require that for events with CSE because otherwise...
Just for the DJ.
Yeah, just for the DJ side because, I mean, no, if they have a coordinator, that's fine. But if they're like, oh, no, we don't have a coordinator, well, then, I'm sorry, if you want to use our DJ company, then you're required to use a coordinator. It doesn't have to be our coordinator. It's got to be somebody. But it can't be Aunt Susie or, you know...
Because if they're insured, they're going to be
legit.
Right.
Well, he just did one. The mother of the bride was supposed to be the day of coordinator. I'm like, that's not
No,
possible.
doesn't
Like,
work.
she's getting hair and makeup done. She's, I mean,
She's taking photos,
Right.
but you're supposed to be setting
they
up.
just don't realize, and then he runs around like a chicken with his head cut off because he wants to make sure their day is perfect.
Yeah, of course.
But it's not fair to him. It's not fair to his DJ
Well, and you guys will take the brunt of it because you're the only face
that they
in
see.
front of everyone in the
And
party.
if something
Exactly.
goes bad, everybody, all eyes are on us. You know
No,
what I mean?
we even say that when we get to the reception, we're like,
Here you go.
we're done.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the DJ's
We've been
turn.
running, even with the coordinator, we've been hands on with the bride the whole time. We've been guiding her through the whole thing.
Mhm.
Now I'm like, it's
Yeah.
yours. Here.
Well, and that is true. So, getting back to your question about what you guys can do to make our jobs easier, I mean, I feel like that you already, it's one of those things where you're kind of in the background, right? Like,
Mhm.
as you should be. And so, as long as we know that you're there, but don't really know that you're there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, that is
That's the
what
same
makes
thing
it.
from both angles.
Right. Yeah. That is what makes our jobs easy. But I always tell, like, brides especially, I'm like, hey, just so you know, like, I'm probably in the reception room, you know, setting up your decor, doing all this. I said, I'm absolutely available, or my assistant. I said, but I do kind of let the photographer run that part of the day as far as getting ready photos, you know, then obviously we do
So
ceremony.
you check in, we see you, just like, how's it
Right.
going?
And then same thing, like after ceremony when you guys are taking photos, I'm like, you don't need me standing next to you.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, you
I
know
had
what you,
coordinators hold like the photo,
Oh,
like the
no.
families, and I go, I get it, but I got a process. I promise I'll get them all.
Right, exactly. You don't want me out there. And there's other things I'm doing as well. I'm repurposing the ceremony flowers into the reception hall. I'm, you know, random things that need to happen. So, you know, I just always try to make sure that they know, like, hey, I'm here, but I'm not going to step on your photographer's toes.
Mhm.
You know, same thing like when it comes to cake cutting.
I
I
do
make
that.
sure everything's out, and then I tell the photographer, hey, I'm going to let you direct them from here because you know what shots you need to get, what angle, all of where they need to stand. I'm going to be right here if you need me. you
I
know?
kind of do the same thing from an MC perspective. I go up to the photographer ahead of time, like, hey, I know cake cutting, we're going to do that, but I kind of let you guys run it so that way you get the best shots. Nobody really cares about me saying, he feeds her, she feeds him, da, da. I kind of let you put their hands, set them up, do your thing, and then as you say, okay, go ahead, boom, 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 I kind of just talk through it with them and just kind of announce it almost.
I like that. I like that when you guys do that with bouquet garter too.
Mhm.
Like a lot of DJs they'll play the music, but they're just in the background. So I'm sitting there like telling the bride, okay, so here's what you're gonna do.
Mhm.
Listen, I like when the DJ calls it out, so then I can be focused on the shot and not being like, okay, we're gonna go. And
Yep.
I don't know.
Well,
I just like that
and
kind of
that
stuff.
right
No one ever
there-
does that.
That right there is a reason why Matt prefers to do a 2-man show.
Yeah.
A DJ and an MC. So he's not tied behind the DJ booth.
Yeah.
He can assist, with
And that goes back, like you just said about that wedding you just did. There's a lot of dead air. My biggest pet peeve: there should never be dead air.
Should
You
never.
pay for music. There's always music playing.
Yes.
Unless somebody is speaking,
right.
there's music.
And not that as the coordinator, I can tell her what to do as well, but because he has the microphone and he kind of knows what he wants to say, then again, that's where I can just let him step in, but again, I'm right there if anything's needed. So I always like to joke though that I'm like Mr. Deeds, the guy from Mr. Deeds. I'm afraid everybody's sneaky. So it was actually at Haley's wedding,
Yep.
and her husband wanted to do a special dance with his mom because she had cancer, I think, and they had a special rose for her. And so they're doing the dance, and right as Haley turned around to look for that rose, I was literally standing right behind her with it for that, you know what I mean? And she was like, "Oh my gosh," So
She saw, but no one else would even know.
right.
And that's the thing where you get the appreciation after the fact that all your guests didn't know that, but the bride and groom afterwards. And I think that's what's so rewarding to Kelly and I is the after responses that we get on follow-ups. Just like, you guys literally, I didn't have an empty glass the entire night, or if mine was low, you were right there with a new one, and everything just runs so smooth.
Mhm.
And that's
My big
gratification.
thing is that father of the bride gets up to do a toast, leaves his drink on the table or whatever, or doesn't have a drink at all. I run to the bar, get a glass of white wine, and so literally he'll go to raise his glass, realize he doesn't have a glass, and I'm standing right on his
Mr.
shoulder.
Deeds.
Yeah, I'm standing right on his shoulder. He's like, "Oh, So because
And we
that's
see it. And
yeah.
we can't. Half the time we can't do it. We need to figure
Yeah.
out, or we just don't want to. Like, it's not our job to.
you have to be careful about stepping on toes.
Correct.
Mhm.
I know. But with that said, if everybody is there for the same purpose, then there shouldn't really be any stepping on toes. I know from a coordinator perspective, when I need a vendor to do something, I'm just like, hey, this is what the couple wants, or this is what mom and dad want for the mitzvah.
Is that a baby cow?
It is.
There it is. We have.
Yeah, I got to see that baby.
That is the new baby cow.
She's only like 2 weeks old. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's her name, Jacob?
Yeah.
But yeah, we try to be like that too, where, especially once you get into the reception and you can't hear anyone anymore,
Yeah.
right? But I want to be where the bride picks up her head because she wants a picture with somebody and I'm already looking at her.
Right.
And she's like, "Oh, you're right there."
You're right there.
Right where I need
Exactly.
I don't want to be missing in action.
Yeah. I mean, I always tell my couples, I'm like, I'm polite, but I'm direct as far as with other vendors that, look, this is not about you. I mean, I don't say that to the vendor, but this is about them and this is what they want. And so I kind of put it back on the couple that this is what they want. And so I need you to do X, Y, and Z to make that happen. You know what I mean? I mean, I've done
That's
that.
what they're paying you for.
Right.
If they want a specific something, then you get it done for them.
I mean, I've done that with him. We had a wedding and we needed to make the call on the rain plan. And we made the call and we moved everything. And then the storm slowed down. And he was kind of giving me a hard time about...
Oh, I had set up outside, moved inside.
And I said, Matt, it's not your day. You know what I mean? And I mean, and we're married, you know what I mean? And I literally took the bride. I said, you've got 12 people right now telling you what to do. I kicked everybody out. I shut the door and I said, this is your day. If you want to move it back outside, we will move it back outside. I said, you're not going to be walking down the aisle at 5 o'clock now. You're going to be walking down the aisle maybe at 5:15. I said, but this is your day. Tell me what you want to do. And again, whether the DJ was my husband or not, they were going to be moving if that's what the bride wanted. You know what I mean?
Well, she did decide to move outside, and I moved it for a third time.
No, she did not.
No, she didn't?
No,
Oh, we didn't do it outside.
she didn't move.
No, that's right.
And then we got, because remember it was torrential downpour. So
That's
I
right.
don't,
She ended up doing.
I don't,
Yes,
we
okay.
would have made it through ceremony. I don't know that we would have been able to break down
Right.
and then get everything moved. But no, she left it. But again, she had all these people coming at her, and I said, "This is your day. It's not their day."
I feel like we play that role a lot of like trying to be the calming, oh, can someone go get this for me? So are you okay? What do you need?
Constantly put myself in just a room and a bride and said, let's talk.
Yeah.
Like, what do we need to do?
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How are you feeling?
Yeah. Well, and just so you know, I mean,
But that puts them, it's again from your professionalism, that puts them in a comfortable place. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we're here for you, whatever you want.
Yep.
Don't get all this going in your head. So,
Yep.
Good.
yep. That kind of brings us to why we're here.
I know, I was going to say the
Yeah.
baby
Tell
cow
us
kind of
Yeah.
started to spill the beans. So
I mean,
tell us
no, that's
tell us
kind of
exciting
why
news.
we're in the position we are now. We just, like Kelly said earlier, we just purchased Moss Estates back in March
21st.
21st.
And where are we in Florida?
This is Eustis, Florida.
Eustis, Florida.
We're kind of on that DeLand, Sorrento, Eustis border because sometimes people freak out when they hear Eustis. They're like, oh, it's so far, and it's really not.
It's really not.
And
429 is
especially
right
when
there.
429, the way 429 goes now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, going to that, I mean, Kelly and I obviously doing what we were doing, and I say this lightly but quasi seriously, and it was more of we know still how to do an event, and we trusted ourselves in that. We said, why don't we just cut out the idiots? Essentially. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we know how this should
Or
go.
the nice
We
way,
know-
eliminate the middleman.
Whatever. But I mean,
I mean-
legit. I mean, that's just what it is. And we're like, okay, well, if I didn't have to take this extra step, this is actually what makes sense and does the right way. Boom, boom, boom. So we said, why don't we do our own thing? And we started smaller at our old property into land on a couple acres there, and just built a smaller venue style. It was zoned residential, so we knew we couldn't really grow and make it any bigger than what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Hosted some events there and said, hey, let's see if we actually like doing it on our own property and living there. And you're now living your job. It's
And I loved it. When I wanted a piece of decor, I just walked over to the shed and
Yeah. And that was the challenge.
Yeah.
Are we going to love eating, sleeping, living your job all the time? Because that's what it is now. I'm maintaining the property. I'm doing this. And now people come into your home, parking, you've got trash, all these other factors. And so we did that for like 4 or 5 years. And we absolutely look at it. We're like, we absolutely love this. And Kelly's a wizard of doing this kind of thing on the computer. And this property is on 20 acres. And it came up kind of across our plate. And
Seemed like it happened very organically.
yeah.
I mean, I was from what I remember.
So we do
I was
grow.
organically on Zillow one
Yeah.
night.
Yep. And so we just, she saw this and we kind of looked at each other. And next thing I know, she was on the phone with a realtor. We had a tour booked and it was funny.
We didn't tell anybody.
Yeah, we
that
just
we were
kind of kept it
coming.
on our own. And we drove here and we looked at the whole property and met, and did the whole thing. And I think Kelly and I drove home back to DeLand in complete silence. Just kind of like, okay. And we got home and I was like, who's going to take the elephant out of the room kind of thing?
Mhm.
And I was like, well, did you like it? She's like, did you like it? I was like, I loved it. And she's like, me too. Okay, perfect. And we just got super excited about it. We're like, well, what do we do? How do we move?
Yeah,
into
so
that?
when I called my friend Monica, who I went to high school and college with, and she's a realtor in Volusia County, and I was like, I have no idea how any of this works, but we'd like to go see this place and then go from there.
Wow.
And
With that, and then not to get into too many crazy details of all, because she did I will still do this. I don't know how she did it, but again, that's her organization that when somebody asked for something for a loan or whatever it was, she fired it right back. So we were able to get this process done very quickly.
It seemed like
But
Mhm.
with Monica's help and then going back to my roots, the Sobel of Zoller Sobel Entertainment, Carrie has since moved on to be a business broker. So I reached out to him and I was like, hey man, this is what we're interested in doing. What do you think? And his immediate response was, you and Kelly are the perfect people to do this. I'm in. How do I help? And he kind of guided us through this, getting everything set up financially
his
and
lenders.
his lenders and all that stuff. Yeah. And he was with us through the entire process and made it super easy. And
Well, we did the whole thing and got pre-approved for an SBA loan from working with one of his lenders. I think she met with her people. She called it at like 10 in the morning, and we had a phone call before noon saying, well, you've been pre-approved. And I'm like,
Wow.
really?
That's when
Yeah.
reality hit. I looked at Kelly and it was like, it was quick. And we're like, are we really doing this? And then I had a little almost resentment for a second because I was like, wait, I love where we live.
Yeah.
Why? No, we worked so hard at this smaller little venue that we put our blood, sweat, and tears into, but I had to step back from that and say, this is the next step.
Mhm.
This is the growth, and this is how we can expand and do what our true passion is, and that's weddings and events, and do it all on our own with just.
Well, and when Matt says eliminating the middleman, I go into so many venues where I don't have enough time to set up.
Mhm.
The linens are wrinkled. I mean, I remember walking around to this one venue. It's a hotel, and they've got the outlets on the floor. And I told Matt, hey, can I borrow some of your gaff tape, which is what they use, for their cords, because there were no covers on the outlets. Well, a lady's going to come by with a high heel on. It's going to get stuck. And I walked around the room. But those are the things that I noticed that nobody else would notice.
Yeah.
And that I just do, because that's who I am. And again, I would want somebody, though, I treat every event like it was my own, which on one hand could sound selfish, but who other than your own event do you want to go perfectly?
Yeah.
So I treat every event like it's mine.
And now it is yours.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
Literally, every match
Exactly.
is yours.
But that's where we need to have the right team in place, because again, he knows he can't DJ every event that comes through here. I can't coordinate every
What do I want to?
Yeah.
I'll try.
I can't coordinate every event that comes through here. So being that this was not a normal transaction, we worked very closely with the sellers. And the first time we sat down to talk to them, before we ever even went to contract, before we ever even completed our letter of intent, sat down and talked with them, and they were very much like Matt and I.
Yeah.
So they ran things very similar. The way, we always joke, I'm the brains, he's the brawn. They very
Pinky in
much
the brain.
pinky in the brain.
Did they live here too?
They did.
They lived here, yep. So they actually remodeled the bridal suite we're sitting in now first, and they lived in that for about a year
Wow.
while they were remodeling the house and the barn. And
I didn't even know that.
Yep.
Look at that, we're learning.
Learned that today.
Yep. So, they were both Home Depot executives.
Okay.
Yep. So he
you
really
can see
liked
they
it.
didn't-
Yeah.
They didn't skip a beat here. They
Yeah.
Shift.
very detailed.
And he loved the remodel part of it. And I think once that was done,
I'm sure
he
this
was kind of
20%
like,
discount probably helped.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll go back to what I was talking about earlier in the sports world with having a job that quickly consumes your life. This can quickly consume your life.
Yeah.
But we feel like with our knowledge and experience, we've been telling, our people, look, we're trying to work smarter, not harder. And at the end of the day, our goal is to work less. One of the
Not
things,
for a few years.
yeah. It's going to get worse before it gets better, which we do. But one of the things that's really hard on us is the load in and the load out at these other venues with all of his DJ gear and me with all of the decor and the balloons and then not
The
having
travel.
the travel, not having enough setup
The
time,
trailer,
all of that. So if
People don't see any of that
No.
stuff. They're like, wait, you charge what for a 4-hour event?
And
I'm
how
like,
early do you arrive?
yeah. Or they're there 3 hours, typically 2.5, 3 hours before, and I'm the first person in the room.
Yeah.
I'm sometimes knocking on, asking security, hey, can you unlock the room, flipping the lights on,
Yeah.
and I'm literally
Well,
the last one out of there.
the mitzvah that you did with me, that you weren't DJing, we got to the hotel around 10:30 in the morning, and we left at 1:30 in the morning.
Whew. Gosh, that's a long day.
Yeah.
I mean, that room was filled. with
That was one of
decor.
our biggest, yes. That was
Well, I mean,
definitely-
typically
but-
still, they're 14 to 16-hour days for us.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. And then you do 2 or 3 a weekend.
Yeah.
You won't see me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
And that was-
recovery.
well,
We
that
talked
was-
about that earlier. Just
Yeah.
I am physically
with
exhausted.
my PTA job, I was going in and working 8 or 10 hour days on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Mm.
And so those are supposed to be our recovery days. And that's the part and then nobody sees the prep leading up to it. So one of the things with my coronation is that couples or families for mitzvahs get free use of any decor that I own. And I joke that it's kind of twofold because it allows me to control what's coming in, right? But that way I always know I have more than enough decor, so that you're not setting up the cake table and there's no candles or anything, and it's just the cake, like, so,
You'll stop kicking me with those toes.
sorry. My feet are cold. So, but also a lot of times, they're buying this decor for one day. Like,
Yeah.
what are they going to do with it? And so what they would spend on decor is basically what they're paying me, but then they're not seeing the prep of washing the cylinders in our dishwasher, packing everything in the car, all of that stuff. So, and that, then ironically here at Moss Estates, they have the Something Borrowed barn, which they think was a schoolhouse in a movie once back in the day.
Oh.
So their couples can use any decor from the Something Borrowed barn for free. So between what they already had plus what I'm bringing in, a couple could decorate their entire wedding and not have to buy anything except for like personal flowers.
And that's
So-
a huge thing. And I do a lot of the tours around here as we're taking this transition. And I explain that to brides and I say, hey, also, here's just another thing that's included, all of this. And they're like, well, they can spend $1,000, $2,000 on this decor, use it one time, and then they're going to go on Wednesday and sell it on Marketplace for garage sale price.
Or they spend months and months making stuff
Oh, yeah.
for their
And then
centerpieces.
I said, well, now you just have it, and you can take that extra $1,000 or $2,000, whatever it is, and put that into something more enjoyable that you're going to get something back from, like your photography or your DJ or your coordinator or something else. You know what I mean? So put it into something that really matters, and that's where Kelly and I try to just cut out, again, those little things that it saves our brides and grooms money, time, effort, and we can just provide it. And that's our ultimate goal. Is just they come the day of, you don't lift a finger.
Mm-hmm.
It's all set up. It's all taken care of for you. I mean, that's the behind the
Joke
scenes
they
stuff.
only lift this finger.
But that's the behind the scenes stuff. I mean, we've got to book these events. We've got to do the paperwork. We've got to do all this stuff leading up to it. That again, people just see 4-hour event and they're like,
Yeah.
that's all you do? What,
Yeah.
what else do you do? I'm like, psh, come on.
Yeah.
Come do it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I mean, that's like us too with weddings. Like,
And
yeah, you
it's
might
all
only
that.
book us for the wedding or for the mitzvah, but then we're gonna have at least 3 phone calls before that. Then I'm gonna have to make the shot list and then coordinate with the planner on what the timeline is gonna be. Communicate whatever the couple or the family said they wanted to happen during the party that they never told the DJ they want to happen.
Yeah.
Tell the DJ, hey, they want these things to happen. When can they happen? Like we're doing all of that. And I haven't even touched my camera yet,
Yeah.
right? Like then I have to, then there's like getting certificates of insurance. Like there's so much prep work even.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can then I show up and take pictures, but then I have
Then
to
you
do
have to
all
edit.
the post processing.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Photography is the least thing you do.
Yeah, right?
That's the perk, right?
So
what
we
say.
joke, like the event is the easiest part.
Uh-huh.
That's
event-
we say that's the perk of the job. The rest of it leading up and post is the work.
Mhm.
Actually doing it, I love doing it. But so that made sense for us here again. I was just getting drained with the travel and the load and the load out, all that stuff. So to make it make sense, I was like, how is this going to work? Well, the only way to make it work is to continue to do this, is to bring it to us. And that's kind of how we got in this position. And
Yeah, and we're fortunate that we've developed relationships like this for people that we can,
Award-winning podcasts.
Yeah. put on our preferred vendor list and continue to work with the people that we know that put as much effort into it as we do. And then again, it's just going to make everything run that much smoother for those couples on the day of their event. Organically, it's just going to happen. We don't do any prep work; it just organically happens. And
cows do.
And
yeah,
I mean, Don and I are big fans of all-inclusive wedding venues. We don't hate, but
It's not fun.
when you have to go from hotel to, say, church to reception,
oh
that's when everything falls apart.
yeah,
You always lose someone, you lose so much time, but when everything is in one spot
Mhm.
and it's pretty,
Well, and it lets us be so much more flexible, right? So you were
Yeah.
saying before, yes, you have a timeline, but now you put ish because, we can have a timeline to have a guide and a general thing, but sometimes we need to go off of that script to accommodate something that's going on.
right,
But when I have the bride getting ready in one facility, the groom getting ready in a completely different space where I have to get in my car,
Yeah.
I can't be flexible anymore.
right.
I have to stay with one until we finish and go to the other. And it just makes
Yeah.
you're going it requires everything to run perfectly. And like, let's face it, no wedding ever runs perfectly.
No.
And then, yeah, same thing. Now we've moved from, okay, we were at the hotel. Now we're at a new space to do all of the wedding party pictures. There's one groomsman that stopped to get gas. Someone else went to pick up a pizza. And then, I can't do the wedding party because the wedding party's not here.
Yeah.
You know?
And we joke about it. I mean, she's a coordinator for a job, and our wedding didn't go perfectly on time.
Really?
You know what I mean? So that's the nature of it. I mean, somebody has to bustle a dress over here. That took longer than we anticipated. Oh, Aunt Susie broke her heel. Okay, let's fix that before she walks down the aisle. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it's always something.
you got to be that ish in there, and everybody's just got to say, hey,
Yeah.
we have some flex time in here. If everybody works fine together, we'll get the goal done. And so that's
I had a wedding once. I was second shooting with a friend. He was close friends with the couple.
Who is this man?
Earl.
Oh, what's up, Earl?
So he was close friends with them, but he hadn't shot lead on weddings very much. So he had me come in so he had that sounding board all day and to help. And the couple gave him a timeline at 3-minute increments for the entire wedding.
Well, that's aggressive.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
And I looked at it and I was like, we're going to be behind by the second one. There's no way.
So I will say I do mine in 5-minute increments. However,
But
yeah.
not for the entire
No,
day.
that's just for like introductions, like
Yeah.
first dance,
This
boom, boom, boom.
was
But
legit. So and so walked down the aisle. Then a minute later, so and so walked down the aisle. Then it's
Oh
like
boy.
the whole thing, and I was like, oh well, we're gonna have
that's probably not.
none of this will be relevant anymore.
At least we know the order. The
Yes.
time does not matter.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
just
all
in the
it is.
general order. And that's why I tell people when I know like you guys are gonna be there. I'm like, you don't really need to tell me the timeline. Just tell me like what things you have happening in whatever order they're happening in. I'll figure it out when I get there. It's fine.
Oh, we
Like it's,
appreciate that.
as long as I know you guys, or if it's like some of the other DJs that we've known for years, from working at Disney or whatever.
Yep.
We just kind of know their flow
Yeah.
and routine.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what,
It makes it easy.
I'm like, oh, have you booked your photographer yet? And they're like, oh, yeah, I booked John. Oh, perfect, great. I'm like,
yeah.
we're good.
Yep.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, kind of like, if I'm not working with John, then it's usually Tara, like for the
Mhm.
mitzvahs. So it's,
We'll edit that out.
yeah.
Well,
I don't know if I told you Tara lives around the block.
Yeah, you guys
Live on the
same
same street.
We'll
neighborhood.
edit that out.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy. I saw her walking to her house the other day. I was like,
Yeah.
anyways.
take a picture of it.
No.
But no, it's the same thing because I know I'm going to get an email from Dawn, or Dawn knows she's going to get my timeline, and then she's going to say, hey, well, they let me know that they want, an all kids photo. Oh, okay, let me edit that. This is a good place for that to happen. And then resend it, so that, I know it's on there, she sees it's on there, and, same thing with the DJ or MC. So,
And I appreciate that you guys know what you want to have happen and when. Because I have some other DJs where I'll do the same thing, like, hey, did mom tell you this? This is, you can do that whenever you want. No, I can't do it
There's-
without you.
yeah.
I need you to
There's
make it
some
make sense. in
critical
the flow of the
thinking that
day.
goes
You're
into
controlling
this.
the show.
Yeah.
I want it to make sense for you.
Yep.
Right.
And that's the thing, that's about Kelly will come up or something last minute. Hey, I'm like, no, if I do that right now, that's going to kill the dance floor.
Mhm.
And you know how
We get
difficult it is.
We know. We
You can't-
get it too.
yeah,
When
you-
Brian's like, I want to
Yes.
do this. We're like,
You
Oh, it's gonna
can't
kill
pull everybody
everybody.
off the floor, put them, and that energy, we create the vibe and go, I'm like, let's just save that for a little bit later when the floor starts to dissipate a little bit.
Mhm.
Then that's a perfect time.
Yeah.
So there's some thinking there to make it successful, and people just think it just happened. Like, no, let's just do it now.
well, I've learned that too from being married to you. I'm always thinking about the party and how to keep the party. And even here, like at Moss Estates, the bar is outside, and yes, it would be inconvenient for the bartender, but from a party perspective, we want the party inside.
Yep.
So,
You lose half your guests
after
outside.
cocktail hour, like we're going to offer an option to couples. You can move your bar inside so that you don't lose your crowd outside. I mean, we've seen it happen at our own party that we had here.
Yeah.
I
I will say this is one of the venues where the dance floor is never really rocking.
Yeah.
Because
The bar's
people
outside.
have to leave.
Yeah.
And then they get to chatting to someone outside
Yeah.
and like, we can actually hear each other out here.
Yeah.
And then, you just have a few stragglers.
Yeah.
Like the last wedding we did here, it was like the bride and her sister and her aunt. They were the ones on the dance floor for the majority of the time because everyone else was outside talking.
Well, it's also
Don't do
probably
that part of the
because
podcast.
it's also probably because I
But
wasn't.
you already have a plan for fixing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was also probably due to the fact that I wasn't the DJ.
Well, no, this
Yeah.
was before you guys.
Yeah.
Everything.
Way before
We
you
haven't
guys.
shot here
Yeah.
since you guys.
No, we haven't.
But we'll get the same thing too. Like, oh, can we put the photo booth out in the hallway? Like, you know, if you've got a 50 or 60 person wedding and you lose 5-6 people to the
It's over.
photo booth, like it's obvious. If you've got 150 people, then maybe we'll talk about it. But I'm like, no, we're gonna find a way to keep it in the room. Like, even if I have to give you less props and have a smaller prop table to make it fit, you know, like,
Right.
So, yeah.
I have a very random question. So last episode we talked about overused wedding songs.
That's right. Oh, we did. We went over what we felt are most overused.
Yes. So what song do you use most frequently for cake cutting?
Most for cake cutting.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
I swear, all of my weddings, it's Cake by the Ocean.
And I said Sugar by Maroon 5.
That's
another
Or
one.
Adam with Literature one.
Yeah.
But how sweet it is.
But how sweet it is typically the go-to for that.
Yeah. We also aren't doing a ton of, like, brides don't really want the cake cutting announced.
It's trending.
not
It's
like
slowly
a-
trending.
I've started
Like,
noticing
so
that
normally
too.
that song's just playing like in the background again, just so there's no dead air.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they won't even pick a song; they'll just tell us to pick one.
And we give them the option. DJ, they just put DJ choice there. We'll just pick something fun. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll tell my DJ, please do not pick how sweet it is. Please, just give me something different.
Yeah,
Great.
no, so we usually use that.
Yep.
The thing is, it doesn't matter if it's overused because the guests are
It's
not
like-
at a wedding every week.
And
It's just us.
yeah, it's us.
Right?
You're like, oh, here it comes again. Yep.
Same thing with
And
like
that's-
the best man speeches that they think are hilarious because they downloaded it from Google, but like I heard the same thing 4 times that month. But
I do it
No one
with
else does but
officiants
us.
all the time. It's funny for
Yeah.
weddings.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, here it comes. The ring,
Yeah.
it's a circle. There's no start. There's no end.
Here
And I'm
comes the
telling my DJ, I'm like, here it comes. And then they start laughing. They're like, yep, there it is.
Here comes the old Indian proverb.
Yes.
Well, I just had a client ask me for grand entrance songs for the mitzvah, and I'm like, let's get this party started.
Yeah. But
What's
they're-
the Justin Timberlake?
Can't stop the feeling.
Can't stop the feel, but
I try to leave those open to the clients. And I say, look, it's your party. But then they also come back and revert like, hey, you're the professional. What do you think? So I try
Everybody
to.
is maybe the wrong term too.
Yeah.
Those are still. When I
Frequently
said,
heard.
because I said like Whitney Houston, I want to dance with somebody.
we love that song.
It's a banger song though.
Yeah.
We hear it every wedding, no matter what, but it still hits.
That's our favorite
just 'cause
song.
it's- Yeah. Just because it's overused
Yeah,
doesn't
we're
mean
not
it's bad.
not
And that's
overused,
almost-
it's bad, just
yeah.
that frequently heard.
Yeah.
And I almost call those kind of songs tools for us.
Mhm.
So if I see the floor starting to go, I'm like, hey,
Mhm.
let's throw this in. And it's a
Yeah.
guaranteed
It
every
works
time.
every single
Well,
time.
and then I can just keep the energy going from there. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's
Any Pitbull song, it works every time. Just random things like that. So, and then with the follow along dances, we all in this industry probably
Yeah.
love them the same amount.
Why isn't the Macarena coming back?
They made a new
Wow.
version of it, and the younger kids are getting that. So now DJs
Okay.
also playing both versions. So
Gotcha.
it is trending back.
I
I know,
didn't
like-
know that they made a new version.
I don't
That makes
know
more
that
sense
either.
now.
They're still playing the old version at least.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing it.
But at least okay, then at least
So, like
yes.
when my cousin got married in Chicago, on their invitation, the RSVP had a song I promised to dance to and that's what we put.
Oh.
Because we love that song.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a great dancer to dance to that song.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
I mean, clearly you were dancing to.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Because you just take me and twirl me around and then I don't have to try to be as good a dancer as you. So
I had one DJ once who he was like, it was right after dinner, so it was like when you want to get the dance floor like really kicked up, and he was like, "Hey, watch this." I'm like, "Oh, okay, what you gonna do?" He literally played every line dance song back to back to back to back, and he's like, "See, did you see how many people were on the dance floor?" I was like, "Dude, we have 3 hours
Yeah.
left, and you've now done the Chakas line.
Oh my
You've
God.
done all of them already.
You blew it.
And I-
What do you do now?"
Yeah,
as a
right.
guest, I would be
Leave it alone.
angry at him because I'd be so tired, you know?
And that's the thing. That's another
Yeah.
point is it's organization of it. You've got to structure that out and spread those out.
Mhm.
Who wants to dance 5-6 minute line dances in a row? Now everybody's exhausted. Now they're all sitting down. Now you've lost your dance floor. So you didn't really do a good job.
Right, and now you have nothing to bring them back out later.
Yep, we got it.
Really is a whole psychology,
Mhm.
Yeah.
psychologicalness to being a DJ. It's not just push play.
Mhm.
Push play.
I know.
It's
And
kind
that's
of
why when
fascinating, really.
Yeah.
When I talk to people, I'm always like, "Are you sure you're just gonna have like a little Bluetooth speaker?" Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we can do that. I'm like, "Oh, are you sure? Are you really sure?"
Yeah.
And the only times I don't really push it is when they're like, "Yeah, we're just gonna be like playing board games, or like we're more like games. We're not gonna be dancing." Like, okay, you
Yeah,
can
that
probably
makes
run
sense.
your party without it.
That makes
Yeah.
It's a
We have-
single table of family.
Yeah, like
in a
Yeah.
one ballroom, like
Yeah. We had
Yeah.
a friend like that who their venue, had a package that came with a DJ, and that I tried not to take it personally. No, but they were right. They knew they didn't have a big dance. We went to the wedding as guests. They didn't have a big dancing crowd. It was us.
But they knew their crowd. They
Yeah.
said, hey, look, we're just kind of a mingle, hangout crowd.
Right. And
The
they were
DJ
exactly
was
right.
a huge part of it. There was
Yeah.
other factors that were bigger
Yeah,
parts.
and the
of
guy
it.
did a good job.
It was great.
No, it was there.
Spotify.
So that was it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
again, I try to take myself out of it. I'm sure you guys do the same thing when you're on different shoots or something like that. Like, you got to almost take yourself out of it. How do we go enjoy a concert?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do we go enjoy somebody else's event as a guest? You've got to just say, hey, I'm here to have a good time with a couple,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not in the
It's
industry.
hard.
yourself
It's
crazy
hard.
otherwise.
Yeah.
Very
I find myself at concerts. I'm just up there. It's like she's singing along, jamming and I'm looking at the lighting. And I'm like, oh, that was a great way to rig that.
My biggest thing is movies. I can't stand watching wedding photography in movies.
Oh, yes.
So literally, the finale of Righteous Gemstones was on Sunday,
Mhm.
and there's a wedding. Spoiler. And the photographer on the first kiss in the altar, he is not in the aisle. He's on the side. Obviously, it's a fake photographer. And I know why they did that, because the shot is over the shoulders of
Right.
the couple looking down the aisle. They don't want the photographer.
Right.
But my person was like, oh, come on! Get a shot!
I know. I don't feel like photography is properly shown in film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's never
Well.
depicted accurately.
Hey, you'd be surprised in movies where they're showing a club scene or something like that. There's a DJ there, and they show the DJs, and it's not even plugged in.
Yeah.
There's no
To be
lights
fair.
going on anything. He's just fist pumping in the back, and I'm like, the headphones. There's no plug to them. They're not Bluetooth headphones, dude. Come on, like,
To be
oh.
fair, when I do like branding sessions for business owners, I make them unplug everything. Your computer doesn't need to be plugged in. Unplug it.
Yeah.
I don't
I
need
did
to
a
work.
commercial for Spectrum at the football stadium. What is it in Orlando?
Camping World.
Camping World Stadium. And I
Sunshine.
had a friend. He worked in the Spectrum network world. That's on couch.
It's all right. We're not getting that.
So he had me come and DJ on the 50-yard line, and I had a referee shirt on and all this stuff, and I'm doing this whole thing for high school sports or whatever. It's their commercial that they're putting out for all the high school football stuff. So I'm out there, and he's like, okay. And I'm like, all right, well, where's the power source? And he's like, we're not going to plug it in. We're just going to set it up. I'm like, no, it's got to be plugged. It's got to at least be turned on. And he's like, no, you're just going to fake it and do this. I was like, then you can't put this in there. And it's a personal thing. Like, no,
Yeah.
I have to do something.
You don't want to put your name on that.
Yeah, so I literally hooked it up to a small speaker, and I was like, I've got to play something. I'm just not going to fake this. And so he's like, okay. So he called in the staff, and they ran a stretch cord all the way out to the 50-yard line. We plugged it in. I was like, sorry, dude. That's the only way I'm doing this.
That's awesome.
All right, so yeah. That's so.
So since you've been here a few months now, like I know you've started having weddings that you're actually running here. One of the things we were interested about is like how you separate living and working, and like, can you turn it off? I mean, your office has a view into your living room
Yeah.
at your personal house. So like, how do you
Yeah, I think
manage
it's
that?
very similar to what we were doing before. That, there's certain days of the week where there's no work that has to be done unless we choose to go into the office, and you know what I mean, because we are making our own schedule for the most part. Monday through Thursday.
Can you get married here any day of the week? Or do you?
Yes, upon request.
They would have to ask. We tend to not do Thursdays because those are rehearsal days.
Fair.
So
Everything kind of has its own day here or two. Like Thursdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are landscaping and lawn days.
Mhm.
So that way they're pretty for rehearsals Fridays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. You know what I mean? So that's why we don't do weddings on Thursdays. And also Wednesdays, we're landscaping and doing it all. So we're trying to make it set up for success for the weekend.
Yeah.
And so everything kind of has this cycle and routine. Typically Mondays and Tuesdays are kind of our, hey, let's catch our breath kind of deal.
And sometimes Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Not always yard work on Wednesday. Going into the summer, obviously.
And this is like Kelly said, we're trying to add our own little things to it. So that's taking up those extra days of,
Right.
hey, I really want this done. Clearly, we're both impatient people. We just like to get stuff done. So I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm out there doing it. It's 7 a.m. I was out last night fixing sprinkler heads out there. She's like, are you coming in? And I'm soaking wet, but the grass is so dry. I'm trying to keep it all pretty. And, but there's certain times you can do
So,
stuff.
I know. I mean, I don't know that it's a whole
It
lot
hasn't-
different than what we were doing.
It's just on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is that the rental fee comes with a day of coordinator, and they were traditionally outsourcing that to two companies that the couple could pick, but we're going to keep it in house. So for me, trying to get, who I want those people to be, and then some sort of guidelines and checklists and all of that, and there are software systems for that, but like I did sign up for one yesterday called Aisle Planner, but then I still have to go in and make it what I want it to be.
templates.
Yeah, but once those templates are
Yeah.
complete, now it's gonna run itself and everybody will be on the same page and all of that. So it's more the initial setup stuff, but once we have all of these things in place, we feel like it will run like a well-oiled machine. And we've said if we came in and we didn't change anything, like the previous owners were doing a great job.
Yeah.
It was running.
You got good buttons.
It was running well. Exactly. So, but we have added some packages on the website, that are not totally all inclusive as far as like catering and stuff. We don't really want to touch catering. But other than that, they could pretty much get everything that they need, I think, with the exception of catering and right now hair and makeup.
We come from Disney. That's a big deal. Like a lot of people just like that idea of like, as well as I get married, can you do it all,
Yeah.
please?
And it saves them a ton.
Yeah.
They're just like, okay, here, that makes sense.
I don't have to make a single call
Yep.
except to you.
Right.
Sign me up.
And that is with these packages. Yeah, they would have everything. And then we have our preferred catering list is probably going to become a required catering list, but it does have every budget from A to Z, and every type of food from A to Z. So it's not like
And that's just a functionality thing.
Yeah.
That's more just a functionality thing for us. It's I know what they need, they know what I expect
Right.
as a venue, and everybody is on the same page. So there's no questions. Hey, we know exactly what's what. You're taking this trash. I'm taking this trash. Boom, boom, boom. It just makes sense. So
So there's not a kitchen here, is there?
we're actually adding one.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Well, it won't be like
Breaking
a
news.
kitchen.
it's just gonna be more of a commissary area. It's
Yeah.
a prep station.
Okay.
Put just the
Landing
basic
zone.
essentials in there. Currently, they're just outside and working out of their trucks or
Right.
vans or whatever, and they put up a pop-up tent. I was like,
Mhm.
well, now for now, it's a very beautiful property, and then you walk out back and there's a truck with a pop-up tent. I'm like, aesthetically, that just, ugh.
Yeah.
So,
I can't visualize which venue it is, but one of the venues that we shoot at a lot, when they have the caterers come in, where they park their trucks is in view of the ceremony site. So I actually had one where it was like their taco truck was in all of the processional
Oh my
pictures.
gosh,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're coming down the aisle.
Yep.
I can't remember which. It was a Barnes
Magic
venue.
Kingdom.
Yeah.
Kingdom.
But like, yeah,
but that's the
it
thing.
does.
And we
impact
thought
the
through
aesthetic
all
of it.
this too of like, hey, if we put it here, when you
What
open these
photos will
doors,
be in?
will somebody see it? So,
That's
Yeah.
why there's the business. That's
Yeah.
why
no,
you should
Yeah.
get married here.
So no, we are adding that.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
As far as it'll have like probably 2 refrigerators, the ice maker,
And that's so they can put the cake in there, so it's literally
Yeah.
coming right out of the and right into
Yeah.
the venue.
and then
Like
a sink, and then just some like prep tables
Yeah.
or whatever.
simple, and it'll be air conditioned, and
Yeah.
it'll be if it's raining, you have your undercover. So all these little things, and we've asked other vendors like, what could we do to make your job here easier? And if you have happy
Oh,
vendors,
Potable water.
potable water
Tons
will
of
be in
beer.
there. You know, if you have all these happy vendors making a bride and groom's day amazing, so it's a well-oiled machine. You know what I'm saying? Happy vendors make a successful event.
Well,
So I try to reach out to every single one of you. What can I do to make your job easier?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're providing you, then you're going to want to refer us.
Right.
Hey, I did a wedding, worked it over here at Moss Estates. I loved it. These guys are great. Well, you're helping us market too. So it's everybody helping each other. That's my goal with the whole thing. So But as far as going back to your initial question of the balance, yeah, I think it's pretty much been.
Is there ever like a Friday night, you are not coordinating, you are not DJ, and you're just in your house watching TV, and you're just kind of like, is it weird sometimes, or are you just used to it at this point? Because I'd be like,
We're not used to any of it at this point.
Yeah, it's still kind of surreal, but I think because we have staff that stayed on with us,
okay,
and we know those guys probably know more than we know at this point, just as far as like if a breaker blows or something like that.
Yeah.
I know for me, he probably knows more of it now, but I'm like, they know more than I know. They've been doing it. I trust them. They're good people. We've watched them in action enough now that we've got radios. Call me if
And that's
it's
the
burning
biggest
down.
thing is
you
I
know?
implemented radios that they didn't used to use. So now everybody, when they check in, they come in, they grab a radio and an earpiece, including the coordinators. So that way, hey, Brian needs this. Like one of our guys can grab. We have 5 people on staff normally all day. So somebody can grab it. Somebody's boom, boom, boom. So everybody's
That's awesome.
communicating.
We had one photographer that took it too,
Yep.
right?
So that
Yeah.
way, if you
Because
you want to go
it's
take a
big
photo shoot, okay, hey, can you bring the golf cart over here for us to do? Okay,
Sunset
somebody will do
photos.
it.
Yep.
But yeah, we can have that downtime, which is nice because we'll just take the radio, bring it inside, hang out with our dogs, watch a TV, do something in there, and we just have the radio if somebody needs us.
Nice.
Hey Matt, hey Kelly, can you? Okay, I'll be there in 5 minutes. Cool, we got it.
But I think that is something that happened with the previous owners was some burnout.
Yeah.
And that's one of my things behind keeping the coordination in-house is that now your face of the venue on the day of your wedding is not necessarily the venue owners, it's your coordinator who works for the venue.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And this is the person that you've been dealing with and all of that so that we can step away. You know what I mean? That if I want to go get lunch with my mom on a Saturday at 2:00, I can't because we've got the staff here. The coordinator is doing what they need to do,
gotcha.
and yeah,
Yes,
you're
I
available
guess.
via phone.
So you've I guess since you did eventually your other place too a little bit, like you've already started to learn how to let things go. And you're not
Yes.
I feel like I'm still my only employee, and then I've trusted Jacob to do stuff by himself for me for years, and then there are like 2 or 3 other people I'll send out,
Yeah.
and then like anything beyond that I'm like, ugh, I'm not sure if I'm ready.
Yeah,
that
it's
is the
hard.
tough. That's the tough part.
Yeah.
Even from the entertainment end too.
Yeah.
Like, people say, "Oh, well, I expect something top notch because it's what they're paying for." So it's hard to kind of recreate that. And then if I recreate it with a new young guy in, what's to say he doesn't do the same thing I did? And just say, okay, thank you for the tools. Now I'll go be your competition and start my own thing. So it's very difficult to manage that. And she's actually got an amazing staff of girls.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that came to me was that their daughter Jordan, we sat down and had a meeting about what her role had been and what she maybe wanted it to be moving forward. And she's the one that said, I would really like to stay on as a day-up coordinator. And I was like, I'm so glad you said that because traditionally she was more of a venue person so that her parents could get a break. And when she said that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Because like if I did Fridays, she does Saturdays. Now I just need to find somebody for Sundays because they weren't doing every Sunday. We are offering every Sunday. That doesn't mean it'll be booked.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Matt
But,
has anything to say
yeah.
about it.
But, oh boy, the cat's crazy though.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Don't put that part of the video.
Zoom in.
Yeah. So once she said that, I was like, oh, okay. Plus with already having, ZSE staff and they're all excited and want to be a part of this, like even our dancers. So if they're not dancing, we don't have a mitzvah or whatever off site, they can come in and be what I call a venue person who helps with parking. They collect the ceremony chairs when that's over. They go in and clean the groom suite, and then they're just kind of on call again, like something happens or.
We'd rather keep it all in
Yeah.
the family again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, we're not doing an off-site event, but we can do one here. I can still take care of you guys and help you out. So.
Well, and then again, like their brother Roger, who we're calling him more like our venue manager now, again because he probably knows more than we do, and he still comes and does the lawn on Thursdays with Matt. But then now he doesn't have to work every Friday, Saturday, maybe. Like once we get our ZSE staff trained and what that looks like, now we can just have a rotating, schedule of people, and nobody's getting burned out. Everybody's getting to work and make some money, and yeah. So that's kind of our vision.
Yeah.
Like I said, it'll take a lot of work on our end to put all of that into place. But once it's there, then that's when we feel like then we can kind of sit back and let it run. So,
Well, I can't wait because I've only done one wedding where you were the DJ, but I was shooting for a different company.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think we've only done bar mitzvahs
Okay.
together.
yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if you were the coordinator on that wedding or not. It was over at Heathrow Country Club.
No, I was not.
Yeah,
I remember you.
So-
doing
only
it
done
was-
one wedding together?
yeah. Everything
All the
else,
rest are mitzvahs?
everything was mitzvahs. Yeah, so I'm excited to come here and do weddings.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, we also do want to advertise that we are doing other events besides, or open to doing other events besides weddings. More so, I think probably coming up would be like holiday corporate parties, like corporate
Yeah.
holiday parties during the week, on a Tuesday, Wednesday.
Well, I mean, we've done one in particular,
Yes.
which I won't name a venue,
Yes.
that client was particularly unhappy with the venue.
Oh.
And I reached back out to that client and I just said, hey, just so you know, we just acquired this facility. And he said, send it to me and they're probably going to host their holiday party here. So,
Nice.
yeah. So,
Yeah, and then also looking to do some like singer-songwriter things with Sean or other artists, and then maybe growing into some sort of festival, like fall festival with pumpkins and hay rides and
You got the land.
that. Yeah, so
you can ride the cow.
I will.
yeah, so it's actually everything that you can see is like 46 acres, and it was one family that owned it, and they parceled it into 3 parcels, and they put the house in the middle on purpose. So the brother and sister still own on each side of us, and so
Okay.
there's just kind of like a handshake. There's no fence like between our property lines, so
In the cattle has free range.
yeah, we share the cows and all for the agricultural stuff, and so yeah.
Very fun. I've learned a lot about cows.
I bet.
I did not know much before, but I've learned quite a bit now. And
They walk the same path every day.
yeah, it's funny. I the prior owner, I was like, hey, and I saw this cut in the grass back there. I was like, oh, is that where like you take your little dirt bike trail and this that? He just looked at me like, nope, that's where the cows walk. And they just walk the same path. So they've rutted it out there and the same thing every day. So now I know what time they move this way and they go that way. So it's learning.
Well,
And,
because we had a wedding a couple weeks ago when the baby had been born, and usually Matt or previously Nolan would move the cows to the side and close the gate on wedding, on Friday mornings until Sunday morning. But we just explained to the couple, hey, we can't do that because the baby calf was born. Mom and baby are over here still. Like, we don't know if you'll be able to do sunset photos. I said, but we're pretty sure they will move because they move that way naturally anyways at the end of the day.
And the calf I learned this is pretty much blind for the first couple of days. So you can't close the gate on because
Yeah.
not understand the routine and they'll
And we were right though, by like 5, 6 o'clock, which the sun sets late right now. Sunset photos weren't until like 7:15, 7:30, and they still got to do their photos, and they all just naturally moved that way anyways.
so it works out.
Yeah.
A lot of learning, but it's fun. It's been an adventure. I
Well, and
absolutely
there is
love it.
somebody that tends the cows, who technically, sorry.
You got
So
a cow-
you're
you
not
got
in
a
charge of the
cowman?
cows.
Yeah, it's a ranch hand.
Certified
Yeah.
cowman?
Yeah.
Yep. So he actually owns the cows.
He owns the
all
cows.
that stuff.
He just uses our property, which helps both of us.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So any like fillets or anything? Don't tell Kelly that.
We don't talk about where the cows go from here.
Oh, okay.
No.
A lot of furniture or
Yeah.
No,
No.
stop.
No,
I don't know. What else they
They are meat cows, I think. Yeah. So we don't talk about that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
They're here right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why, like Tracy would never like name them or anything like that because
Can't get attached.
Well, they turn into pets and then they're
I would like
That's
to
King
get
James, by the way. Welcome. I'm just kidding.
King James is the bull
Yeah.
doing his job.
Clearly.
I would like to get a miniature Highland cow. You've probably seen on Facebook.
yes,
You can edit that
they're
part out,
so
too.
Yeah.
cute.
No.
But they're so cute.
I know, but then it'll be in my house, and then it's another animal to take care of. And yeah,
Photo ops. It would sell it.
Oh, that's what I was
It would
gonna say.
totally sell itself.
It was.
Our fence guy Tyler bought one, and I said, "He looks lonely. He needs a friend, and so he thought I meant that he needed to get two of them. I was like, no, I mean Zoe.
You know, you guys could rent this out too for like photographers that want to do mini sessions and
Mhm.
things like that.
That's actually on my to-do list to talk to you guys about.
Oh, I just wrote it. We'll cut that out.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're
Right.
open.
Yeah, no, it's been neat. We're loving it. I mean, I am outside every day working out
I am
there.
not.
But she handles a lot of the
Yeah.
interior stuff, and I do all the exterior stuff, and it's working. It works great. So I do the tours, I do all that stuff, and then she kind of follows up afterwards and sets the packages up, and it's been working. So
Again, balance.
Mhm.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
so
Yep.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
inviting us here and letting us be here. And we're excited to probably shoot here more often.
Hopefully, that's the plan.
Fingers crossed.
I felt like this podcast just came about very organic.